In Escape from Tarkov, caches have one of the most diverse and varied loot pools out of all of the containers in Tarkov. This creates a confusing and kind of muddy water opinion on what people think about these stashes. Some people think that you should loot every single one of them, and some people think that you can just pass by them, as the percentage chance of getting something decent is very, very low with every single one that you loot. As we go through 1,000 of each container in Tarkov, it was time to find out what these stashes were worth and how often you could find those values, as opposed to the kind of random collection and assortment of items that you can find the rest of the time. Just a reminder for anyone who wants to skip to any information that they find more relevant, there are chapters down below for the numbers area, for the routing, and for the are they worth it section of the video. There are tons of routes that you can choose when looting stashes. However, I personally recommend whichever stash route that you find that you are most comfortable on that map, because then you're going to know where the hotspots are, where you need to slow down, where you need to speed up, and what stashes are usually looted or what stashes people usually avoid. I will have the stash route that I personally used on screen while I go over some of the numbers later on in the video. I'll have me running the route, and then in addition to that, I will have a small map from a bird's eye view perspective of where I am exactly on the map while I'm running through those stashes. One thing that is very important to note before starting the rest of the video is that there are two different kinds of stashes. There are the little small like barrel stashes that have like the little top on them. And then you also have the ground stashes, which are more like twigs and sticks and leaves kind of set on the ground that you can also kind of lift up and loot as well. These caches do come in different sizes, which does limit and change the loot pool based on size in many ways. I will be addressing the ground stashes in a separate video, as there are a lot of larger items that spawn in those ground stashes that did not spawn in these blue barrel stashes. I looted 1,000 of the blue barrel stashes across about 150 hours, noted every item that I found, noted their market values, drop percentages, and the value per slot of each item, and here's what I found. Hi, I'm Solaris, and welcome to another episode in our series of looting 1,000 of each container in Tarkov. If you're new here, I have been going through and reporting the results of each one of these experiments in a spreadsheet, which is always linked in the description of each video. These numbers are meant to provide an idea of what to expect and are not intended to be exact rates, but rather more practical rates that you can expect while looting. Before I go any further, if you like the info that I provide in these videos, or you find the spreadsheets useful in your playtime, I would greatly appreciate it if you would like the video and leave a comment down below to help get this video out to more people in the Tarkov community. In addition, when this video posts, I will be live over at twitch.tv/Solaris. So if you have any questions or just want to hang out, you can come and meet us over there for anything like that. As I continue from here, the routing that I used will be playing on the screen. If you get different spawns from the one that I started at, then what you'll want to do is just get, into the route as quickly as you can from whatever spawn you spawned at, and then follow it from there, or follow it backwards if you got a spawn on the opposite side of the map. In addition, some spawns do give you an opportunity to pick up an extra stash or two, so I will have those noted on the screen as well near the end of that route. With some of them, you just spawn in a place where it's a lot easier to loot that one stash beside you and then go towards the route, rather than hitting those individual stashes during the route, just because they're so far out of the way on the most common route and the most common stashes that you'll be able to hit. I have created a spreadsheet with all the information that I found important. That spreadsheet will be available below with the market values, which will update hourly. Make sure to bookmark that spreadsheet for future use. Saving the spreadsheet will stop those values from updating on your copy. Due to the massive amount of items which can be found in stashes, we will not have the normal graphics that we have for this video, and will instead be addressing groups of items rather than specific items, unless they are quest items or extremely valuable. For further specifics, please check the spreadsheet. Before we go further, let me know down in the comment section what your favorite stash route is, or if you don't think stashes are worth looting at all. If you think your stash route is worth being in a video in the future, join my Discord and let me know. The first group of items I wanted to address are the armors. I found 55 pieces of armor, with 16 of those being level 4 or higher, which is kind of the start of what people consider the PvP level of armor. There were 7 that were level 5 or higher, and only 3 slick plate carriers, which were representing the level 6 armors and were the only level 6 armor that I found. One armor that was worth mentioning for early game quests, that is kind of a lower tier armor but you do need for early game quests, was the 3M body armor, which I did find 12 of. The second group of items to kind of piggyback along with the armors were the helmets, which I found 86 of. Helmets that were actually worth grabbing, though, were around 62 of them. That's kind of excluding the things like the Digetta, maybe the Tatkek helmet, just kind of those lower tier, like 2 and under, things that just weren't really worth picking up. A few of them were the late game helmets like Alton's, U-Locks, Mascas, Wendy's, and Airframes. In addition to those helmets, I found a ton of modifications that do go along with those helmets. So for the Altons, I found the face shield. For the Masca, I found the face shield. Wendy's and Airframes, I found face shields and ears and the chops, all kinds of stuff, as well as some of the headphones that would fit with those that are kind of exclusive to running with those helmets. Within the blue barrel stashes, I found 143 weapons. However, only 48 of those were not pistols or shotguns. So most of those were pistols and shotguns, but a few of the highlights of the ones that were not were a few UMPs that I found, a few MP7s, MP5s, one P90, and a few MP9s as well. One of the good things about a lot of those weapons is that you could either pull the mag out or fold them, and a lot of them only took up 2, 3, or 4 slots rather than a larger inventory space like something like an AK would. Most of those weapons were 9x19 weapons with only a few outliers. One thing I wanted to specifically mention, because I made note of it throughout the looting, was that I did not find a single piece of ammo that wasn't inside of a gun in these blue barrel stashes. This seems strange, as I'm pretty sure in the past I've actually found tons of ammo inside of these stashes, and if I'm not mistaken, this is where I found some of the highest tier ammo in the game early on during White. I did find 188 items that fall like generally kind of under the medical category. One note is that due to the route that I used for optimization, there were a few items that I was unable to find due to some map restrictions. A lot of them were stimulants that were on like interchange or shoreline. So make sure that if you are curious about one of those items that maybe you find all the time, that you check that tab and make sure that they weren't limited by map, because they're limited by map. That's why you're finding them and I did not. A few of the items that I felt were worth mentioning, I only found around 6 Saluas, so for your quest, probably not the best to be checking for them, but they are still there. I found like 14 morphine injectors, which isn't terrible, but still isn't worth it in comparison to some of the other options that you have for looting morphine injectors on how to get them. You can still check them if you're passing by them, but I just personally wouldn't go out of my way to check one if you need one more morphine or something like that. I did find a bunch of different painkiller options, so first few days of Wipe, these stashes are definitely worth checking to try to save up on some of those. Getting a lot of Vaseline, ibuprofen, you know, the regular painkillers, all that kind of stuff in addition to the regular morphine. I found 335 food items. So if you are near a stash and are hurting on food or water, whether it be in your inventory right now or in your hideout overall, they're definitely worth checking to either keep you in the raid or to kind of stock back up on. And they'll also keep you alive a little bit longer, obviously. A few of the quest items that were like the cans of Tashankas and the Iskra lunchboxes, they were in the stashes, but they really just weren't worth checking for them quest wise the same way the healing items weren't. You just don't get enough of them for it to be worth checking. You might get lucky with the Iskra since you only need 2 of them, but it's probably just not worth it to go out of your way to check only those when there are much better options like the ration crates or like just loose spawns in general. I did find a few units of fuel, which were definitely worth the pickup. In addition, I found quite a few barter items, which are generally worth picking up just to fill your bag over time while you're running stash-specific routes. If you're just checking the stash while running a normal raid, however, they may not be worth the pickup, as you're probably going to find something else better along the way. With the units of fuel, I did find about 1 fuel can, about 1 in every 100 stashes that I looted. The total amount of items that I found were 3,011, with a total value of around 45 million rubles, which is on average around 3 items per stash and around 45,000 rubles per stash, which is significantly higher than most of the containers. It's not higher than the supply crates, but in general, with how common the stashes can be in comparison to how rare the supply crates are, with a 45,000 ruble value, I definitely think that they're worth looting with how common that they are. Overall, I definitely think the stashes are worth looting. They have a higher average value than most of the common containers and are much more common than things like supply crates. If on maps like Interchange, Shoreline, Woods, or Customs, they are definitely worth running and checking, whether it's for money or just for bag filling at the end of your raid. Hopefully the footage of the route along the way was helpful and will address any questions on how I farmed these. As mentioned before, let me know what your stash route is. I personally just don't know all of the stashes on all the different maps and have been running this custom stash route since I first started playing the game. So it's just the one I was the most comfortable with, and it took a whole lot less time to try to learn a new stash route when I knew I could run this one and hit it in just about the amount of time that it takes for you to not get a run through at the end of the raid. So I could hit it in about 7 to 8 minutes and then I could be out of the raid that quick. If you felt that the information that I provided in this video was helpful, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit the like button and then drop a comment down below letting me know what you thought. It greatly helps with the YouTube algorithm, and I will continue to respond to those comments as quickly as I possibly can whenever I'm available. If you would like to continue to follow my content and would like to give me more time to do things like this, I'd recommend subscribing and letting me know down below what you'd like to see, so that in the future I can kind of fulfill those requests for you. Once again, I will be live over at twitch.tv/Solaris. If you're looking for people to play with or interested in helping out with any tests or just collection, join the Discord over there or hop in the stream and let me know and I can get you in there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.